Today we have the founder of New Dawn Creatives. His name is Mr. Joshua Kasali, all focused on the Nigerian comic book industry. We go knee deep into all the stuff that his company, New Dawn Creatives, is doing, what the industry at large is like, what his relationship with other developers and other publishers are like, how he found his artists, and just the future that this industry holds with regards to the larger picture of the comic book world. Shout out to Cube Cafe. They let us use their facility and their restaurant, and it was beautiful. Enjoy, guys. Let me know what you think in the comment section. As usual, like, share, subscribe. Most especially subscribe. We need your subscriptions. Please enjoy. Joshua Kasali, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. So I'm not going to waste any time. Tell us about New Dawn Creatives and what you guys are up to.
Yeah, so New Dawn Creatives is a comic book company that's started up about 2 years ago, one and a half with change.
Okay.
It started as just me trying to give my vision out of, put comics out. From here, and I thought there was a shortage of comics, so I said, you know what, let me go ahead and put my vision, my story in. And that's pretty much what the ethos of our company, that's how it started. We're looking to obviously become multimedia sort of company in the future, so that's pretty much what New Dawn is.
Okay, and then when did you get started with all of this?
So I want to say early 2018, right? So early 2018, we filed for the company, we had everything registered. Then we began our flagship series, Drifters, in July. So yeah, about a year and a half right now.
Okay, and then it's good that you brought up Drifters. Tell us a little bit about Drifters.
Yeah, so Drifters is the, like I said, flagship series. It's what we started with a year and a half ago. So it's meant to be sort of a new age anime comic book cross, right? It's an ongoing series. The vision is for it to come once a month. We've been consistent. We've been on break now for a little bit because volume 1 to 1 and 2, but we've been pretty faithful with that once a month. And that's sort of what it is generally.
Sounds good. All right, so do you want to get into like the cubes, so the sun stuff cooking us outside?
Yes, please. Yes,
right.
I could do some
Good
cubes.
stuff. Sounds good. All right, so it's one of the first things I noticed about Drifters was that the art style was a bit peculiar. Was that intentional?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So one of the things I wanted was to make sure that this was going to be a very easy to transition project, right? So like I said, I studied film. I want to do animation in the future. I want to animate this. I want to go to movies. I want to do everything, video games. So I said, okay, you know what? I want to do something where almost like the reverse of what Avatar did. They started on Nickelodeon, they started with animation, then they transitioned to the graphic novels. And you see there's a very, very tight-knit connection between the two because their styles are so similar, right? You see Aang, you see Katara, you can tell, oh, that's them, whether it's in one medium or the other. The same isn't always true for traditional comics, particularly North American comics, right? Because there's with the shading, with so many things, right? Translating that from that traditional comic book style to 2D is usually very difficult. You still know the characters, so it still works, but I wanted something that was like the other style. So that's how I said, okay, you know what? Let me kind of work from the other end. So I said, I want this to look like it's a storyboard for an animated project. So that's why, if you look at it now, especially since the new volume kind of kicked in, it looks very much like it's...
the art on this is miles ahead of that.
Yeah.
And so I see what you're saying. Okay, and then how did you find your artists?
Yeah, so the funny story. So what happened was I came into Nigeria. I just finished school, like I said. So I came back and I said, okay, you know what? Let me go find an artist. I didn't know anything. I thought there was not one comic book at all. I didn't know there was I know we'll get into this later, but there's no industry at all. So I said, okay, you know what? Let me go find some artists. Because I was, okay, I need an illustrator, I need a penciler, I need an inker, I need a colorist. I knew the basics, so I said, okay, fine. I drove to Yabatech, I drove to Unilag, I just went myself, me and some people, said, okay, let's go interview some people. We did. That didn't work out too great, I'll be honest, because you find a lot of people that just this isn't what they want to do, because as I wish my audience would get to the test, it is very difficult to do this. I mean, I underestimated it, which is why the people I brought on, they were kind of like, this isn't, I can do some, I can do X, Y, and Z, but not this, because this is hard every month. So what happened was,
don't mind me interrupting, what exactly about our comic book art is so much more difficult than just regular art?
Well, the volume is challenging, especially when you're doing a sequential project, right? So just think about, for each page, you're maybe doing something like 5 to 10 actual panels, which is it's almost like doing a portrait in and of itself. The sequential nature or the interpretive nature of getting it from me, the script writer, to you. So you have to read, you have to understand what's going on. They have to do something from 22 to 28 pages a month, which is, if you divide 22 times, let's just say 22 times 6 or 6 panels, you're looking at hundreds of actual pictures a month.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest challenge, and obviously the sequential nature and making sure you get the facial features right. The consistency is a big one. So that's what makes it very challenging.
So volume.
Volume is the biggest one.
Interesting. So you were still saying about how you found
where I found them, right? So in that, I found someone who, he was kind of new to it, but he was passionate. Through him, his roommate was also somebody who was interested in this. So I found my penciler, I found my inker, and through him I found my color. So it's sort of like the people I actually interviewed, none of them really met up to the standard, but through one person that did, it sort of spiderwebbed into what it became. After a while, the illustrator himself sort of petered out, because it is very tough. This isn't what he wanted to do. Shout outs, obviously, because he's very great. That's the first volume, the pre-volume, 0 to 4, right? So you notice there's a little bit of a different art style. So in that, I had to go ahead and find someone who, at this point in the 4 issues in, I sort of was into the industry. So that's when I discovered, okay, you know what? There's this guy I keep hearing about, Sukami Akingwe, who is sort of a big wig in the industry in Lagos. So I found him, talked to him about the story. He said he liked it, and then we got a big wig to actually be the illustrator for Drifter, which is big. So you see that's one of the big reasons why you see the difference in art, the shift. And he's still honest, and he helps me so many times, because he's experienced. He's been doing this for years. And obviously him, and then our inker Michael, and then our colorist Sam. I mean, they're the best. So that's how I found them.
We'll make sure we have all their names and social media handles on the video when this is going up, so they get the credit they deserve. Sounds good, bro. All right, so have you met any other people since you started doing this, like other people in the comic book industry?
Yeah, so many. Like I said, I didn't even know this was a thing. I came in, I was like, all right, so I'm gonna be the first person. This is gonna be so crazy. I'm like, what is this? That was honestly my perspective. So I was like, because I lived like the last 8 years at that point there. So, and because I don't hear anything, that's what happened. So when I got in,
just to clarify for the viewers, there is the United States of America.
Yes.
He's been doing his college there, and then he came back.
Yes, exactly. So I've been doing that for quite some time. So I came in, and I just was looking, during the process of looking for the artists, I was looking for, distribution channels. Okay, so what is this? And that's how I found Mr. Ibrahim Ganiu. He works with Vortex, and he's had a great show every Monday on Facebook where he kind of delves into these things. So he was the person who told me, we've been doing this. Has been here for a while. And I was like, really? He told me about Comic Republic. He told me about Vortex. He told me about Unique. Told me about Epoch. All these guys. And I was like, I'm not new at all. Like, it was just kind of like, okay, well, I gotta figure this out using them. So I met him. He was big. Sukami, obviously, he has his Lionbug Studios, but Wildfire, shout out to them as well. They're new kids on the block as well. I know Peta from Peta Comics. I would meet him in Comic-Cons. I know Kugali Medias as well. I know Peter from Shadow Black. I know quite a few of them, right? So I've sort of started to build a nice little network, and we do actually talk. We have some good things planned. We have just know that we are all talking behind the scenes, and we're actually planning a lot. So
okay, that's a good segue into what I was going to ask next, which is specifically with regards to competition. I mean, you're all doing your own individual thing. What do you find in your interaction with other comic book content creators? Do you think that it's competition, or do you think that it's more like symbiosis where we feed off each other, we share resources, or is it a dog-eat-dog world where everyone's trying to make their money and have a leg up off over the competition?
Great question. So it's definitely not a symbiosis. It's definitely not that. I wouldn't call it a dog-eat-dog world yet, because let's be quite frank, we're not there yet. You know what I mean? Like, we can't start talking about some big competitive things, Marvel, DC, or we don't have a Marvel or a DC. The closest we have to either of those is Comic Republic. And it's one of the few I've never met. G.D. Martins, I've met a friend of his, but I've never met him, so I can't really speak to what they're doing. However, what I can say is that with the interactions I've had with other people, there is a certain, there's a feeling that we're all trying to get somewhere. So nobody's really made it amongst the rest of us to say, you know what, we want to start competing, what are they doing, what are we doing? So we're all trying to exchange ideas. Like I mentioned, me and Peter from Peter Comics, we met as rivals, obviously, but we were like, what are you doing? Okay, that's awesome. Like, you know, let's get together. We have lunch from time to time, and we kind of brainstorm ideas because, you know, once you actually get a little bit into it, you realize, look, if he succeeds, he makes it easier for me to succeed. That's one of the things we don't even understand, I think, in this country sometimes. We don't understand that, look, someone's success does not mean your failure. It, in fact, oftentimes means that you have a chance to succeed as well. So for me, I was like, okay, I've made a lot of connections. Like I said, we have a lot of things we're working on. We haven't gotten to the point where we have collaborations or anything like that, just because we're still trying to work on the foundation of the industry. And for us to do that, we have to have some sort of teamwork. Now, we're not there yet. Like I said, there are some people who would rather try other avenues. You know, let me try this, because then it's just human nature. You know, before running to hold hands, you want to see if you can lift it yourself. So I surmise that very soon we're going to get to that point, and we're going to see more teamwork. We're going to see much more, you know, cooperation in getting the industry to where it needs to be. Then we'll split and then eat each other. You know? So that's sort of how that's going to work.
Sounds great. All right. So, any future projects apart from Drifters that you want to tell people about?
So the future project we're working on is actually about Drifters. So one of the things we've been doing, like I said, we've been trying to find out how we can make this industry thing really happen. I'm of the belief that we're going to need to have almost like a culture revolution a little bit. And one of the ways I think we can do that is by going to the roots of how comic books became a thing globally, period, which is hard copy comics. So that's sort of a touchy situation, because I do believe digital has a place, and this is the digital revolution. We live in the digital age. However, I think we need to think more about the people around. Like, we have 200 million people. I'm not going to go into the economic stuff, but we do have a lot of people who data is not an in excess commodity right now, right? So we have to sort of get the product out to people in the most convenient way, in the most relatable way, and in the most, I think, pragmatic way for getting fans, which I think is delivering it through affordable channels and obviously subsidizing for people to get it. So one of the things we're doing is we're actually, I wouldn't say we're in talks, but we actually are in talks with ShopRite, which has been confirmed. We're going to be using ShopRite to distribute our comic books. I think that's going to be huge. Yeah, you know, Super Striker, they're there, but there's no one else. I think, you know, us being there, this is sort of the first official announcement. Yeah, you got the unofficial announcement, right? So we're going to start working on pushing that out very soon. Christmas, New Year's, we're not exact on when, but we will be in most, if not all, ShopRite locations. I think that
in the country or in specific states?
In the country,
Great.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we're really trying to get this out to many people. It'll be actually cheaper than it is right now online. Right now online, yeah. So $400 per issue. So obviously, right now we're looking. I'm not going to say the exact price, but it's going to be significantly less than that, right? Just because we want everybody to get a chance to actually read this. It'll be coming out monthly. We're going to put out probably most of the actual stuff we have, and then we'll come, you know, every single month we'll release it there, because we're trying to impact the culture. I know you're big about trying to create the nerd culture here, and I'm a nerd too, you know, A-rate, so that's what I'm trying to do as well, create the channels to actually foster that sort of thinking, because I think it can do great things. I'm not going to go into the numbers. I mean, it will help the economy, can just boosting an actual industry, you know, because if I get in and this does well, you can imagine it'll help other people get in. We have other people, and then that creates sort of a buzz that, oh, wait a minute, this is serious. Maybe get some investors to actually take a look at it. And, you know, once you start hitting the tens of thousands, animators are going to look at, investors are going to say, hey, maybe we should get this animated, right? That goes there, then it becomes something where merchandising gets involved. And then obviously if something is doing so well here, our African brothers are going to take note of this. We start working West Africa, we start working global Africa, and then look, that's how it goes global. And then I don't want to start, you know, but that's how the domino works. So I think it's a big thing that we're working on, and I'm very, very excited. You know, we're going to obviously, like I said, this unofficial announcement, but we'll really start marketing this very soon. I think this is something that we're really focused on. As far as other stories, I mean, we've had like 3 or 4 things that have been on the pine for about a year. I want to get Drifters to a certain place first. I'm not taking unsolicited stuff, so it's me writing this stuff. I have 3 other ideas that I think are going to be big, but I don't want to work and spread myself too thin. I'm still trying to get drifters really off the ground. So that's why I've sort of put everything to the back burner and said, okay, let me focus on this. Once ShopRite starts to, once we can put that to bed, then you'll really see New Dawn creators coming out with 3, 4, 5 different other franchises, stories that we can then really begin to shift the culture a little bit.
Sounds great. So you guys heard it here first. New Dawn Creatives in all ShopRite stores in the country in the nearest future.
Yep, very soon, very soon.
Yeah, we're
Go out and grab a copy. I promise you'll enjoy it.
Please. Okay, so do you have any final thoughts? Anything you want to share with my 156 loyal subscribers?
Yeah,
Please.
you know what? Listen, if there's any final thought I'd have, it is that we are onto something, right? People like Nigerian Nerd, like New Dawn Creatives, even like Peter Comics, everything, right? Spoof animations, they came out with something unique, and with the Malika stuff. Malika. I learned it was Malika. I'm sorry. Anyways, so listen, what I'm trying to say is we're onto something. I've been grassroots for quite some time in Lagos and Abuja. There are people out there who are trying to do something creative for this country. It's something that we need. It's something that I think the baby boomers, to use a term that was relevant there, but the baby boomers, the older generations, they've in large part, I don't want to say they've given up, but they're not very in touch with what's going on. So I think right now, we have creators that are putting out stuff. I just ask everyone who is in the position to be a fan, in the position to be someone to actually buy into these things, not just buy, but buy in, right? I just want to ask everyone to actually just take a look, support the creators, support things. If you feel like you can, hey, go ahead and try it. I think we have something for the future. I think in the next decade, we're going to see some things pop up out of Nigeria that we didn't even think were possible.
Well said. All right, and with that, I think we can conclude the interview.
Yeah, it's fantastic, man.
Great stuff, man.
Thank
Great
you.
Stuff.
Appreciate it.
Good. I think that was good.
It was, yeah.
With most people, you have to do this like 2 or 3 times, and then you have to edit it. You have to cut. But the way you deliver your ideas, you're